My grandfather and great-grandfather started Junction Auto in 1931.
If you want to pay more, that's your business. If you want to pay less, that's my business.
This boy lived with some foster parents on the other side of town in Burton. And he was 21 when he graduated from high school, and he went to school with my kids. He got, the people there got divorced. And so he ended up living with one of the kids that he used to be there. And so anyways, that kid brought him to me one day. He said, I'm gonna put him out on the streets in Chardon if you don't want him. He said, because we don't want him. So we took him in and let him live there. And then it was after I started plotting down the road to kill him for the insurance purposes and everything, that we had his name changed to Dannie Boy Edwards and that, but he was not a foster son, he was not an adopted son, he was someone that we had taken in. With Danny, I saw an opportunity to, I was always a schemer, I was always thinking of ways of making money. I've always been into crime. And with Danny, I saw an opportunity here at long range. It took about a year to set it up, and that's what I did. I set it up to collect the money and ended up getting $250,000 out of it. And it was arranged, it was premeditated, it was thought out, it was planned, and that's what I did. He went AWOL. I sent him the money. He got the money, he got a Greyhound. He went AWOL and went to Columbus, the bus station in Columbus. That's where I went, and that's where I picked him up at, is the bus station in Columbus. He didn't come here. Then I brought him back to the house, and he stayed at our house unbeknown to my wife. He was out in the barn, he was in the car that was parked there. He was in the house, and it was all set up. I'd already had prior to him going into the military, he took out a $50,000 insurance policy, named us beneficiary. And then while in the military...
Did you ask him to do that? Or he did it voluntarily?
No, I asked him to, but...
But that was part of your plan then?
That was part of my plan, yes. That started back prior to him going into the military. Then the name change was not effective, was not all the way through yet once he went into the military. When he went into the military, he was Danny Glockner. It was while he was in basic training that the name change went through to Dannie Boy Edwards. So at that time he had to go down and change his name on the records to the insurance policy, because the insurance policy had been made out to the people that he used to live with that already separated and everything. And matter of fact, one of them was dead. And so he went down and changed his policy over and named my wife and I the beneficiaries. And he was going to get a medical discharge from the Army because he couldn't handle it. But it was about 3 days prior to that, and that's when I talked him into going AWOL, because they said he was going to Korea, and he didn't want to go to Korea. So I talked him into going AWOL, or told him to. He did what I told him. And we went to Columbus. I picked him up in Columbus, brought him back here. And then that was part of the scheme that I put together, and it was, okay, I'm talking to him as to, we're going to make a phone call that he burglarized the house and stole money and different things like that. And so then when he had it memorized and everything, I took him down to Ladue and dropped him off, telephone. I went back home and he called me. It was being recorded. Hi Pops, how are you? And we talked, and I'm sorry I burglarized the house and things like that. I said, well, I didn't know you were even in here, Danny. And yeah, and so we went all through that, and that he give the money to another person, And so then it ended, so I went back and picked him up and brought him back to the house. And it was the next night, I think it was the next night, that he ended up losing his life up behind the cemetery, because I told him that there was a fellow in Youngstown that was going to come by, pick him up, and hide him out for a couple months, and then he would be clear. He wouldn't have to worry about anything. He believed all this, and it was up there where he died, and I had the body partially covered and kept it that way. I went back up there about every 3 or 4 months to check, because I wanted the body found, but not immediately, but I didn't want to bury it either. So I left it partially covered. And the one time was about a year later when I went up to check on it, the head had been separated from the body due to the animals and everything. And I took it with me and took it across the street and threw it up into the field. And the police and everything, they've been looking for it, but they can't find it. It was nothing but the skull. They've been unable to find it. But there was a hunter that found Danny, and the rest of the story everybody knows it, where he was found and why. But that was set up, and after he was found, it was, I'm not sure, maybe a year later, maybe not as much as a year, that I collected $250,000 from the investigation, but the attorney, I had an attorney representing me, and he got a third of this, so the rest of it we got. And my wife, she was not aware of any of this. I endorsed all the paperwork and forged her name, and she knew absolutely nothing. She's a very Christian-like woman.
Where did the additional, you said it was original, was a $50,000 policy. Where did the other $200,000, did he take out an additional policy?
No, when you go in the military, you can have different amounts of, they give you, and it comes out of your pay, and he was covered with $200,000 military.